the theme of the film and the podcast are musicians who've escaped a cult, or artists in general. So I have authors, and I've had some painters, and just open to self-expression, really, like
Yeah.
self-expression to heal trauma, and kind of what life have you made since you got out? Because I'm far more interested in like looking forward and
Mhm.
helping people, not helping, but like understanding how people have processed since they've left this crazy situation that all these ex-witnesses and other people from other high control groups have found themselves in. And we need to process and heal, and self-expression seems to be a really powerful path.
Life can bring us down, but turn it all around.
Hello and welcome to Exwitnessawake, or hello, welcome to the Apostate Coalition, wherever tickles your fancy as far as viewing is concerned. I'm here today with Scott Homan, a director and ex-Jehovah's Witness, and he is going to present us with some lovely information about the project that he is working on and how we as a community can help him out. So if you'd like to say hello there, Scott.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Jonathan.
Glad to do it. It gets lonely in here. I got to have somebody to talk to now and again. So, what are the projects that you have been involved in, and that we can show these lovely viewers?
I have, in 2016, I started interviewing ex-witnesses in a way to try to tell my story and the difficult story of how the shunning process works. And that was a very international project at the beginning, and it still is. It's probably even more now. But I met someone in Germany who had he came out gay, but he also came out of the witnesses at the same time at like 19, and he moved to Germany and like been living there. And then my next one was like I interviewed a Vietnamese woman, and then the next one I interviewed a guy in the States, and then I interviewed a guy in Mexico. And I was like, wow, this is it's like an international culture. So you have this like international X culture as well.
Yeah.
And everyone has a different voice and very different perspectives from different cultures. And that we called the Exjw Coming Out series. And after a year or so of that, I was like, I think I could make something bigger. So I decided to crowdfund, and I'd never looked on the internet about what ex-witnesses are doing, and like being out of religion 8 years at that point. And then I was like, well, I'm going to need to meet influencers to like see about like collaborating. And then it was this huge like outreach, and it was this big effort. And we did a crowdfund and made a movie called Witness Underground. So there's one more project that came out. Since the release of the movie, we went through the film festival run with Witness Underground, we went to 11 festivals. So that was like a really huge thing. And now it's about how to distribute. And through that, I was like, well, we should maybe make a podcast. I kind of always wanted to do that. It takes years to make a film and a lot of effort, and I'm kind of exhausted. But a podcast, you can like have an interview like this, turn it around, put it out the same day or in a week or two, and make an impact. And so I started a podcast by the same name of the film, Witness Underground Podcast. And that is ongoing. And the theme of the film and the podcast are musicians who've escaped a cult, or artists in general. So I have authors, and I've had some painters, and just open to self-expression, really, like self-expression to heal trauma, and kind of what life have you made since you got out? Because I'm far more interested in like looking forward and helping people, not helping, but like understanding how people have processed since they've left this crazy situation that all these ex-witnesses and other people from other high control groups have found themselves in. And we need to process and heal, and self-expression seems to be a really powerful path.
You did allow me to see the movie, which I'm privileged to do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I found it was very good, and I would recommend to people who are seeing this that you see it when it comes out. I have a bit of a personal connection because while I'm not as gifted a musician as the ones that were in the movie, I did have a little time where I was involved with the music community of Jehovah's Witnesses where I'm at. So in 2007, like 2006, 2007, we had twice rented a place, and as bands got together and, put on a show for our friends, basically. So I'm
You showed me those videos; they're really cool. And
Yeah,
you're
I've
a
got
vocalist.
a keyboard back there. I mean, I'm pretty rusty. I don't really mess with it much anymore.
Mhm.
But I'm basically just a vocalist, and I've created a little music, some collaborative work. So seeing that sort of, once you got the itch, it's kind of
Yeah,
there, So I even
the whole world to explore.
myself, if I could get somebody to work with me, I'd love to make more music again. So
You ever
we'll
listen
see
to
how it
Duncan
goes.
Trussell's podcast?
I have not, no.
Oh, he's an amazing comedian. He's one of my favorite human beings in the
Yeah.
podcasting space. He's been doing podcasting forever, and he does like really esoteric, like abstract, crazy stuff. But he intros every podcast with a song that he created,
Okay.
and it's so funny. He makes the most weird, bizarre stuff. And then when AI music stuff came out, he started doing super weird AI stuff, and then
Nice.
playing weird characters. I think you'd absolutely love his intros, and he even does ads that way, which are really fun. But yeah, his show's awesome, and it'd be really cool to hear you like develop through your channel, like develop
Mhm.
your music skills over time as a channel. And like you could have your intro music, and like I made a new song this week, and it's about
That's true.
cult leaders, and like I did this voice thing for like Jehovah's Witness cult leader, and check it out, and then like make a music and make fun of them
Yeah.
or something.
I've
And
written a
I'd love to
couple
hear something
parody
like that.
songs. I just have to produce them.
Perfect.
I
Yeah,
have the
Weird
lyrics and
Al
everything.
style.
Yeah, like Blinding Light from The Weekend.
Uh-huh.
It's like New Light, Blinding
Yeah,
Light that way.
fun.
And what is it? The Gautier song, Someone That I Used to Know, like Somewhere That
Oh
I
yeah,
Used to Go. It was referring to
uh-huh.
the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah,
So
fun.
we'll see.
There's another artist I like to promote, David Quesada of the Bloody Tuesdays. He's an ex-Witness. He did parodies of like Kingdom songs in his first two albums, and all the album art is like Revelation inspired, like Revelation book art copied, and like the Hydra
Mm,
falling into the lake. And
nice.
it's like such a joy to listen to. It's like weird psychedelic rock, and there's all these like he uses even like piano from the Kingdom song, but he like twists the lyrics to be like make them sound even creepier than they already are.
They are kind of creepy, a little bit.
Some of them for sure.
I actually designs. I like to make designs using AI and stuff too. So I have a design of the wild beast, but he's being written by like HeMan, a HeMan-esque guy. And he's basically like charging. So
I loved
yeah,
HeMan. Doesn't he like? I think it was two different shows, like Shira, the Thundercat.
yeah,
That's a different show. I think I played with them as kids. I like the Thundercat and
oh yeah,
HeMan. They like would ride the cat.
yeah. It's pretty cool.
That's fun. Throwbacks to the 80s.
Oh yeah,
80s
yeah.
art. Also, I just saw
My
you posted
my
something
age is
funny.
showing.
You posted something funny with what was the Billie Eilish? No, it was another artist. We had like an army of like superhero versions of some artist, like 5. Some woman who's a female artist that's popular. The other day, you posted something. Maybe just in the Apostate Coalition chat.
It might be, yeah.
Miley Cyrus,
Um,
maybe? No, I don't
oh
remember.
yes, yeah. It's a story I'm developing for a new channel that I'm gonna have out eventually once I have enough
Okay, gotcha.
recorded. But
Secret insider information.
yeah, so aside from XJW content, I also want to. I've always wanted to write stories and narrate,
Mhm.
so that's been a bit of a passion for me. I thought in the day and age of YouTube and I just do it myself. So I'm
That's
going
the
to
best.
do just that. I
Yeah, that's the
create a
best.
channel for. Um, I have a working title. I think it's going to be the Telltellers Universe. Tale Tellers Universe is the name that I
Cool.
have as a
Yeah, I
working
saw your
title.
like
So
mock intro you're working on. It's cool.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I've got about 8,000 words of a story written so far, so it's coming along.
And it's going to be like an ongoing series that you're doing. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I figure I'll narrate it and release it in chapters.
Very
So
cool.
people just come back for the next chapter, and hopefully it'll take off. We'll see.
I like that model a lot because after trying to make a film and realizing how hard it is to make something at a professional level
Mhm.
that like is accepted by everyone's, seen thousands of films. So we have this expectation what a film is.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to work on that level and it takes a really long time. And so like if you have an impact you're trying to make, you might not make that impact for like me in this case with Witness Underground for 5 years, even though like, and for me, now it's an old story. I want to do other stuff, but for everyone else, it's like, finally we get to watch this thing and it finally will make an impact on people. So I like the model of doing chapters or like a blog post style. And then it grows and it changes, and you can kind of pivot if you don't really care about a topic anymore, but you want to develop a different one, and you can just like evolve the story as you go.
Huh.
It's nicer as a creator. Same with my podcast. Like I love the podcast because I can just like, oh, I love that person's music, I want to interview them next week, and then like 2 weeks of their stuff is out, and like we have this cool story, and then I can move on to the next thing, and like I'll learn from that as I go. So I love the model of like ongoing process, and you get better
nice
as you go.
Yeah, hopefully. I guess some people could get worse as they go, but yeah.
That'd be kind of hilarious. Like start out at a really high level and then devolve into like the most basic rudimentary thing.
Yes. Why does it gone from YouTube to looking like something out of GeoCities website? You know, like what happened to you? Reverse
There's
order.
a guy that interviewed me in Denver. He's a friend, and his channel is like he spends a lot of effort to make everything look like 90s internet, like early internet.
Mhm.
Like he everything's like 4K and perfect, and he
yeah.
has, but he like distorts it and does these like VCR filter transitions, and like
Okay.
he tries to make it feel like you're in the 80s or 90s, which is hilarious to me because it's so much effort to make it look worse or like old. But I like it.
Like it's like taking a nice piece of furniture and distressing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So going back to the movie, do you want to you want to show a clip of the movie just to?
Yeah.
Did you have a trailer? I believe
I do have a trailer. Before we show that, I wanted to let's do a quick pitch, if I can.
Yes, please.
We're trying to in October, we're gonna do a big push. So we're planning through September to do a big film release of this movie, and it's people in the movie are involved, and we're trying to anyone who's just interested in getting involved in any way. We're trying to build a core team to help with the film release, and the offer is we're going to do it through crowdfunding, which is it's about raising money to market this film in a proper way, like Barbie and what's the other film that just came out, Oppenheimer. You know, they have this huge classic release schedule, and they have a big theatrical release. We're going to do a virtual release like streaming, but we want to make a big splash and collect everyone together. So we're looking for people to join our team, and it could be anyone. The idea is just like help us get broad reach with our message. So if you're interested in that, get involved, because we're like, it's out, it's ready, and we're making distribution deals, but it's not just living on Amazon or Apple TV or other streaming networks isn't really how you release a movie. You need to also tell people that it exists there. And so we're doing this big outreach and trying to raise, like I would love to interview during the crowdfund and have you on the channel to show off some of your art and your channel. Sure. And maybe even dive into the nostalgia of music that you played. I know you shared some videos with me that you discussed of you singing. Like it's cool stuff, and get to know each other. And like I want to like sort of like do this rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. Like all these XJWs who are creative people, like let's work together and like help each other out. And I want to do that with the push as well. So like we're all like united in our mission. Our overall mission is to like expose awareness, the religion and awareness, and like, hey, this is a problem. It's a human rights problem, but there's also really illegal stuff happening too. Like, let's talk about it. Everyone has their different voices, but like united goal.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what the Apostate Coalition is all about.
Yeah.
And it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses too. There are other organizations, other high control religions that are holding people down, that are taking away their rights, abusing them. So, you know, it's welcome to ex-Mormons, ex-Seventh-day Adventists, you know, the Moonies, you know, pick your organization. And if you have something to say, you know, we are, you know, we learn something from what you have to provide. And it's also, it's cathartic, and it's a bit of a therapy for yourself when you get to talk about the things that have affected you from, you know, when you were younger.
Yeah. I've enjoyed that about the community there and the Discord chat, because like, so you'll see a thing on the internet or someone will say something, you're having an interaction with your family, and it's like, it can be triggering and re-traumatizing, but then you have a place to go talk to people about it who understand completely, and it can make that into new channel content, which is also cathartic to have as an audience. I've enjoyed that about, and there's something about that. I think you've done a great thing in organizing the Discord and the Apostate Coalition. that is related to what we're doing with the crowdfund, which is I hired a professional to run it called Greenlight Yourself. And his whole concept is don't wait for people to give you permission to do the art you want to do. Don't wait for people
Right.
to like allow you to get access to funding to make your dreams come true. Like, let's crowdfund it. Let's all work together to elevate each other's dreams. And so if we all learn, let's say everyone in Apostate Coalition learned how to crowdfund like a professional, then we can all support each other in that activity this year with mine, next year with yours, 6 months
Yeah.
later with someone else's. And we know what it takes to do it. So we can just all help each other out. Like, let's hack the algorithm today. Okay, I need to like and comment on his posts about his crowdfund, and like it's so simple. So there's a really organized plan, and I feel like the union of Apostate Coalition and like this Greenlight Yourself crowdfunding model could be like this huge thing to like level up everybody's ability to create amazing new content that affects change and gets the reach that it deserves.
Yeah. So if anybody watching this thinks that sounds like it'd be right up my alley, contact us.
Yeah.
I can put a link in the show description if you want to have someone reach out to you directly.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And then, so just talk to Scott and we'll see where we can go with that.
Very cool.
Forgot
Should
what
we
I was
roll
gonna
the
say.
trailer?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do the trailer.
Nuclear Gopher was a record label of Jehovah's Witnesses who all did indie music.
Witnesses can listen to music. It's not like a Footloose situation where like the preacher's like, no music ever. But stuff is frowned upon.
You need to really beware of that disco beat because that disco beat invites the demons.
At 17, I basically thought to myself, what am I doing? Is this how I want to live my life? Like, do I even believe this? Music was my savior at that point.
The moment people started taking it seriously is the moment that someone would start to, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Nuclear Gopher created a space for people to be eccentric and creative and also as healthy as you could be in that culture. And while it lasted, it was like the best.
So through the power of editing, you got to see that amazing trailer.
Yeah.
I have seen it before. We had some technical difficulties. I'll let you behind the curtain on that one, but you've just seen that. So, did you have any words on the trailer?
For the trailer, actually the guy that I'm hiring for the crowdfund, Justin Giddings from Greenlight Yourself, he suggested a trailer editor that he's an actor, director, filmmaker. And this trailer editor, I tried to make like 4 different versions of the trailer, and all my film friends, I lived in LA the last 4 years. And so I had a lot of connections and people in that space. And they're like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. I'm like, oh, these are the best parts of my film. Like, I love what I just created. And like, just hire a professional. Like trailer editing is a whole art. And it's a whole career for somebody. So I got this trailer editor, Trailer Den. It's the name of the company. And it was very affordable. And they just like the very first cut he did, it was like, whoa, that's so much better than everything I've done. And
it takes an extra set of eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
and so that I feel like it made a big splash. People loved it. The problem with the trailer is that I put it out because I was so excited about it during the film festival run, which is we wanted people to care about the movie for the film festival run, come to see the movie in person. But then everyone who'd been waiting for the film hasn't, like, they saw the trailer in 2021 and now we're in 2023 and they're like, where's the movie? Like, when is it coming out? And it's like, wow, it takes a lot to actually like go from the film festival to distribution and then marketing. And each of them is like a whole career and requires a whole team. So doing most of it solo and with volunteers here helping me here and there, it's we still have the one trailer and it's still awesome. And I'm sorry if you haven't seen the movie or been excited, but it is available to watch actually, but only on our Patreon.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a rookie mistake to release. I've learned later to release your trailer before wide availability to watch the movie, or like even like one.
It's a learning experience, right?
Exactly. So
I'm going to go on a limb and say, join the Patreon in the description. How's that?
Yeah, thank you. And it's not just supporting the movie, but you get to watch the whole movie, but it's also like the series. I have like a big backlog of interviews and like powerful content with amazing people and artists, and also the podcast. Like that's like keeps me like existing without needing to spend too much time working. I do still have to work at the moment, but the Patreon supports the entire Witness Underground universe. And the goal is that like 20% of everything that supports the Patreon goes into a artist grant, which is like a whole other thing we can talk about at some point. But the idea is you can apply on the website to get access to that money, and then we can then support your art and creativity through funding from Witness Underground, from watching Witness Underground. So
And I'd like to
support.
see. Oh, you're very welcome, and I appreciate that as your support that you lend to other people as well. That's what I'd like to see, is more people become involved in the movement of warning people about cults and high control religions. And if this can spark somebody to go ahead and just do it, they might be a little scared, or they think my story is not that interesting.
Mhm.
Everybody's story is another piece of the puzzle, is another, you don't know. It might be the thing that convinces someone to second guess when that, JW comes to your door and go, now, wait a minute. I heard some things, or somebody who's in to convince them to go ahead and get out of it.
Right. How do you feel about the two audiences of like the ex-witness versus like the public in general? Like how the film was structured in a way that, I mean, you're biased because you're an ex-witness, but like how do you feel like it was structured in a way that might appeal to the public?
I think it would appeal to the public. Not a lot of people in the public know the finer details of what it's like to be a Jehovah's Witness, or, the experience of leaving or being shunned, or, that sort of thing. But I think they have a general idea, like a little bit of an idea.
Mhm.
And it's not structured in such a way that it's foreign to them. I think it's a human experience. And, without going into spoilery territory, there were certain things in there that really touched me, that I can feel that. So, even if you haven't been shunned by a family member, maybe you've had a relationship where it's just kind of gone sour, and you don't speak to that person anymore, whether it be a friend or an ex partner or something, and you feel that loss that comes from that, and I think that's something that everybody can relate to.
There's something people have commented a lot, that it feels like they really knew the people, because we sort of spend the first third of the film getting to know the people that are in the religion,
Yeah.
and their musicians in a way that's like really human and understandable. And
Yes.
then you get to have their coming out experiences and the losses that come from that. And then sort of like a third part, like I've never seen in any Exwitness material before, was like a landing on the outside and like, what's their life like now?
Yeah.
And it's really cathartic, I feel. But people have said, like, commented a lot, like, oh, it's like really humanizing. And I feel like I really respect these people, and I want to hear their music again. It's amazing music. And like, I want to see where their lives have gone. And like, if you got a little bit of a glimpse of that in the film.
Mhm.
So I feel like we had a goal, like our editor and my co-producer, associate producer, Ryan Duvall, and Sean Wamsley, the editor, they are not affiliated in any way with this religion, and I don't think any religion actually. So like they had a big impact in like helping skew it and like helping cut pieces and make sure parts were included that told the story from a public lens, because we're
Mhm.
really trying to affect change. It's a social impact documentary, is
Yeah.
a niche I have learned about, and our film fits really nicely in that space. And that was the
Yeah.
original goal, is to like affect change in society, so people know this isn't just a benign religion that has weird, quirky rules about birthdays. And they're like really just like nice Jesus people, but no, they're like doing dangerous stuff, and they should. They're hurting your community, and they are your neighbors, and like their
Yeah.
rules and ideologies are affecting your kids in your school, maybe, like who knows, but and like
And there
who's
needs to
coming
be
and knocking on your door.
accountability.
Exactly. And I feel like no one really cares about the topic because they don't really understand what it is. And so that's like one of my big, like the activism of the film is, we want the public to understand how dark this thing is. And for
Yeah.
me, it's like I went through that, and I think, yeah, there's CSA, child sexual abuse, and then there's a blood issue, and people are really dying in this organization
Yeah.
cult. But like everyone who's left this group or even been associated with it in any way has like it has affected their relationships, important relationships with their parents or siblings or aunts or uncles or grandparents.
Yeah.
Even if you never join the religion, it's like those people are separate from you. They won't come to the family events. They won't come and do this. They won't talk to you about certain topics, and they're always trying to sell you something. And it's like joining Amway, or like all of a sudden all of your friends are potential customers. Like, don't do that. It sucks. It, like,
Yeah.
changes the relationship. Makes you a weirdo.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of weirdo JWs out there, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a funny story. Okay, so Jehovah's Witnesses had this funny, like, deep dive into like the King of the North and who is that from like
Yeah.
prophecy from Daniel, and they're like, it's Russia, and they're going to attack God's true people. And look, they banned God's true people. It's like all this stuff. My aunt and uncle, never Jehovah's Witnesses. My mom's side, they were at my little sister's wedding, and I wasn't invited. I was uninvited. So I didn't go. I didn't want to spoil it. I also didn't want to go to Wisconsin in January, but I would have, because I love my sister. But they told me that some Jehovah's Witness approached them and was like, "Who are you?" So how do you feel about the King of the North? Like, what? What are you talking about? The King in the North? It's like some mystical fantasy thing you want to talk about? Like, are you talking about Game of Thrones? Like, what are we talking about?
I was just thinking of that. Is he blue, perchance?
Yeah, right.
Putin with horns.
That was the highlight of the wedding for them. Like, Jehovah's Witnesses are so weird. There's like talking about the King of the North at a wedding. What is the King of the North?
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They will say that, you join the religion and your family might shun you because you're trying to do the right thing, and they don't want to have anything to do with you because you're becoming one of those Jehovah's Witnesses. It's like they take the narrative and they spin it,
Right.
and you're trying to do what's right, and your family members may separate from you and think you're joining that group and they're bad and stuff, but what they're doing is misleading you because it's the other way around. You may be forced to shun your children, shun your parent, what have you. So it's like they want you to sign a document without reading the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
Because
There's
after
something
the
I've
fact,
been taking a deep dive.
they're not going to talk about, yeah, you may get shunned if you mess up, if you change your mind. Would you like to join? It just wouldn't be a good selling point.
Yeah. There's something I've been doing a deep dive into because I've found myself, I'm 15 years out now, being in relationships with people in business, certain friends, certain people I've dated that are very unhealthy relationships. Like I'm drawn like a moth, can't even speak, a moth to a flame to these people because they're fascinating or familiar. And like, why are they familiar? And these people are like narcissistic abusers. Narcissistic abuse is actually like a narcissistic personality disorder is a legit like medical position. But there's also, and anyone can do these tactics. And maybe at some point, depending on where we're at or what's going on in our lives or the chaos or whatever the drama might be in our life, we might do some of these things that like fits that category. But there's like legit problems. Like these people are probably traumatized to a point that's like irreversible damage has been done, and they will now act this way for the rest of their life in this weird pattern that they have. But it's really unhealthy. And so I found myself in these unhealthy relationships regularly. And I feel like I'm looking at a room of people who seem totally normal and healthy. And I totally ignore them because I'm not used to that. It's foreign to me. And I'm drawn to the one person who is like acting a very specific way. And I'm like, that's the most interesting person in the room. And it just so happens that person has all these negative traits that I find out later are very harmful to me emotionally or something. And so I've been doing this deep dive, like understanding what those patterns are to recognize them and like find a way to get out of those situations before they're a problem by recognizing the pattern. And what you just described is like one of the things, which is to preemptively tell people to watch out for these things in normal people, that they will do this thing that they are also telling you to do to those same people. So that they're doing the weird thing. Jehovah's Witnesses are doing the bizarro relationship dynamic manipulation stuff. And those people are reacting to that manipulation in a healthy way, which is to like take a step back from that relationship because you're acting kind of crazy. And then the religion's saying, no, it's a gaslighting type thing. So they're the
They're
ones who are
masters
starting
of gaslighting, manipulation.
And what I've learned from this pattern is like the religion itself acts in these narcissistic abuse ways and manipulative ways, and they teach their members to do it to everyone around them and to do it to other members. So,
Yeah.
and then to rise up in the hierarchy, the super hierarchy structure that they have, this pyramid, you kind of have to be good at that. And so the people that are naturally that way rise to the top quickly.
Yeah.
Because they're acting in these negative or unhealthy ways, and the people that don't want to be that or are good are just become like, okay, I'll tiptoe around all of your weirdness and step on eggshells around this and make sure I use the right words and dress the right way, and like there's like, okay, what else do I have to do to like make sure everyone's doesn't mess with me anymore? I'm so it's exhausting, right? To like try to conform to all of the crazy stuff they make you do, and that is
Gotta
just
put on
like
that new Christian personality.
yeah, they even name it, right?
Yeah.
This is not healthy,
Because your real personality is crap. We can't have that.
right?
I think people that are born into it never really know what their personality is, and it takes being out for years to find yourself, because you didn't get to develop like a normal person. It's weird if you're 5 and reading and studying and getting
Doomsday,
all and
post-apocalyptic
walking
information,
around talking about how everyone's going to be destroyed. It
right?
just is not good for normal
Childhood development.
yeah, for childhood development.
Like one of
You
my earliest. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking what you said about being gravitating towards the weirdos, like I can imagine you going, emotionally stable person, boring. Ooh, needy, judgmental narcissist. Yeah, bring it on.
Yes, awesome. I've been looking for that my whole life.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
Sorry, you were going to say something?
I don't remember what it was. Damn.
Sorry, I think I'm a little bit ADD,
Yeah.
so I tend to just sort of jump in, or the thought's gone in 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, I got it. I was when we launched the film, we launched the Patreon with the film on March 1st this year. Bad Associations podcast, Chef Clark, she's awesome. Her podcast is great. Everyone should check it out. But she did our like launch interview, which is really cool. And in that, I kind of came to a realization that I hadn't thought about ever before. But like one of my earliest memories of the Jehovah's Witnesses was my parents joined when I was very young. Like I remember our last Christmas celebration, and we always had like non-witness Christian Lutheran family on one side, and then the Jehovah's Witness family. But it was like just our immediate family. So my parents were really bad at it. But like my mom's dad, the Lutheran dad, her grandpa, died when I was like 6, and my parents were just going to the meetings, and everyone on that side of the family, we went to the funeral, the wake, and everything, and like we're mourning his death and saying like, oh, he's in heaven now. And then like I'm 6 years old, like what does a kid know? Like what is this mystical place where he doesn't look very like he's in heaven, he's totally dead, like that sucks. But then the Jehovah's Witnesses are saying completely different thing. They're like, no, there is no heaven. Okay, so that place to them is like this mystical place, but for Jehovah's Witnesses, like there's a heaven, but it's like only very few people get in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so but they're only Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed into their heaven, but this guy is going to a different heaven. Like, what's going on? And I was like, I pray every prayer I gave to God for my first prayers like a year. And I always thought when everyone's praying, you're supposed to not listen to them. You're supposed to like do your own prayer. So all my prayers were like, God, why don't you let my grandpa in? Why not 144,001? What is this deal with like a limited amount of people get to like go into the awesome place after death?
Yeah.
And I was like, all this cognitive dissonance started there.
So even as a young child, you could think this is not right.
Exactly.
Something's off here.
I was skeptical from like the inception of my time in that religion. Like, no, your grandpa's not part of that. Like, okay, how does it work? And it's just like, okay, 2 different fantasies are being presented to a 6-year-old, and there's dissonance between them. Which in a way, like it was hard, obviously at the time, but like everything's confusing to a 6-year-old. So it's not that big of a deal. But like, to start that way, in a way I'm grateful, because it was like, okay, so there's drama here internally and externally, and there's a fight between like spiritual warfare. Like that's like the Bible story book for kids, the dark side aspect of it, or Reading the Revelation book was like the first book we studied joining their religion. Like,
Oh boy.
whoa, what a crazy introduction to this world. 2 different fantasies and or multiple. I don't know, there's a lot of darkness and a lot of heavy
Lots
stuff
of
for a kid.
monsters of destruction in that book.
Yeah.
What are
But
these?
yeah,
What are these guys that look like jockeys with like scorpion tails and stuff flying around? What is this?
right. Like that's the most mythological creature ever. Like,
Yeah.
and they look like Middle Eastern. Like they have braided beards and like
Yeah.
like they had some shield or something, and they're like flying in a
Yeah, it might
black
have been, yeah.
cloud swarm, and like my mind was going wild with this imagery. Like, what was John doing at 90 in
I'll-
prison when he was drawing?
There it
this?
is. I put it in this video. To you watching.
Cool. Yeah, that was fascinating and bizarre. Anyway, the religion does all kinds of games with art, fantasy, imagination to twist your view of the universe and the supernatural.
Mhm.
And I guess every religion does it on some level. Maybe that's like the value they add to society, like create crazy ideas to consider so you can like have something to talk about over the campfire. I don't know. What is the value of religion besides community? That's one of my big questions right now. Like they still
Religion
offer that.
is Bible fanfic.
Yeah, exactly. That's really funny.
Read that Bible, like, what can we do with this? Oh, I know.
Got a new
Crazy
story.
scorpion monsters and 8-headed beasts and stuff.
Yeah. I've not gotten into that kind of thing very much, but I've seen a bunch of like fan films for Star Wars, which are kind of amazing. There's some really talented.
There are some really good
people.
ones. I've seen they come up in my feed lately.
Yeah. And it's like it's such a clear. I feel like Star Wars is like what happened before we got to the communist utopia of Star Trek. Like there was like 2 gigantic like an empire and a rebel force. Like one is democratic and one is dictators, and like they had to fight and battle across the galaxy for thousands of years before we get to like the utopia of no one actually uses money and everyone gets to do whatever they want to in the Star Trek world.
Unless you're Ferengi.
Oh right, yeah. There's some complications and drama there. It's true. They're like the mafia of the galaxy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
The traitors. Yeah. Oh,
I feel like you're showing us your creative mind, things that you like to see.
Definitely. There's more. Yeah, I've actually been thinking about what I'm going to make next, which is a fun topic. But I shot a rock climbing music documentary style thing, but very, very like going back to my roots, like single camera out in the mountains, no tripods, like nothing, like all handheld. But like I'm actually rock climbing with these rock climbers, and
Let someone know that you're out there. We don't want a 127 days situation over here.
But what's cool about yeah, right. What's cool about that is all those people happened to be musicians, and I made another film before Witness Underground that was about musicians in Vietnam, like many different genres, like a whole community thing called Hanoi Mixtape, HanoiMixtape.com. And so but I originally called it Nyak Underground, which means underground music, and that's just like a general theme. And then Witness Underground is kind of like it's like a two name twist, right? Like underground music, but it's like also like the activist side of underground, like the Weather Underground, the Underground Railroad, like those concepts of like the Apostate Coalition is sort of in that space, right? Like we're working our asses off, but also having some fun while doing it. To
you gotta
put the word out there, like, hey, you should know about this thing, but also let's have some fun while we're doing it. But it's this underground movement, and so like that's a twist on the words. But I had this like, do I do an underground trilogy? And is the rock climbing one the next one? But it's like hip hop, like Chinese hip hop, like freestyle rappers who like free solo mountains and climb trad out in the desert in California, and they travel like a circuit around California, living in their cars. And like there's another guy that plays cajon, and he's like a freestyle like indie rocker, and there's all these dudes came out with like an acoustic bass and like all this instruments.
That
And
sounds
I was
cool.
like, whoa, like this is, I didn't expect to make another music film. I was going to record a thing about rock climbing with my friend for fun, but I have that on deck. But yeah, there's a lot more I want to do. I feel like this is the Witness Underground is like the most impactful, personal and emotional and like activism, social impact type thing I've ever done. And that's why I want to keep the whole project going with the series and the podcast. But I did have I made a trailer teaser for the XJW Coming Out series. We could also roll that if you'd want to. I did queue it up, although that's not working, but I could.
Okay, so yeah, let's do that. So Ta-da!
I want to be a part of the activist side of it and help people realize that they're not alone. When I told my parents that I wanted to leave, my mother said that I was better off killing myself and committing suicide than waiting for God to destroy me at Armageddon.
Someday when you die, this will all be better. You know, we could all say that at the end of the day, right? 'Cause we're all gonna die, but that's not a solution.
At least in the Jehovah's Witness world, you have nothing to lose, because if you die, who cares? You've been through paradise. Who cares if you die? Who cares if you have to kill yourself?
They pressure you to make a huge lifetime commitment at a very young age when you don't really know that much about the world, really. You can't unbaptize. There's no such thing. Your fate is sealed once you're baptized.
Lo que dice, cuando te bautizas y te dedicaste a Dios, estás dedicándote a la sociedad, watched over, y track society that makes it better.
If I go this route, I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my friends. Do I ever get that back?
A lot of humanity just wants everybody to agree with what they believe. And as a parent, you know, I'm really trying to avoid that. You know, I'm trying to not let the pendulum swing in the other direction and indoctrinate my kids with my atheism.
The way that I see it is, if anything, I stopped doing certain things that I did as a Jehovah's Witness because I no longer believe in them, that were negative, and like in this case, you know, hoping for people to die.
The world is not as scary as they make it out to be. Period. It's better to take your freedom than be trapped forever and not be who you want to be.
Honestly, the best case scenario is to have my children grow up to be free thinkers. And being a free thinker does not mean being an atheist. It means deciding what works best in your life.
I feel liberated. I feel free. I feel like I can be who I am without that guilt. I wish everyone could feel that way.
Don't get wrapped up in fear It has been hard, you could say that.
And we're back.
So that one's a little heavier. Most of the people I interview, they do tell about their story in the religion and they're coming out of it, which is why that's the name of it, Exjw coming out. And but we get into a lot of like what they're doing after and how they've processed and healed after. So that particular trailer is called Death Phobia, and titled it with Death Cult Jehovah's Witnesses. And because obviously all 5 people talk about death, and I feel like that's like interesting perspectives about that topic. And I also guess I introduced that well with my whole grandfather story. So little segue.
There you go. So has filmmaking always been a passion for you?
It has. We had in Wisconsin in the 90s which is when I grew up. I'm old. They had an amazing documentary program in our high school, and I was so into that. And we had like an all access pass to kind of cut all classes to go make our films. And we had a public access TV station, which would be like the local version of YouTube. You know, YouTube was another 12 years away before it came out. So we were putting all of our film. We'd make like snowboarding films and skateboarding films, and like I did a documentary about Y2K. At the end of the world was coming back, and I don't know if you remember.
Scott's World, but party time, X. I can imagine.
Yeah, I loved Wayne's World. We did tons of stuff. Actually, my friend, one of my friends in the documentary class, had a car with the licorice dispenser he put in the roof.
Oh, wow.
And I painted the flames on my car. So you're like super
cool.
nerds about Wayne's World.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that was super fun. And I kind of, when I left the religion, I was like, I hate this job. What am I doing? I have the world. Everything's possible. What would I want to do if I could do anything in the world? And I was like, I'm buying a camera. And then pretty shortly after that, I was like, I want to go to another country where I can afford to be there. It's cheap, it's interesting, and I can focus on documentary filmmaking again, because I did that all through like the 90s. And I actually went to photography school while I was still a witness. That's a whole story. But so I've always done camera work as like, I've always gone back to it. And when I went to Vietnam in 2012, 2017, that was my whole focus, was just like get good at camera work through music. And so I like filmed like 80 single camera music videos, and I started doing 2 camera music videos, which like changed my whole world. And like the best work from that is in Hanoi Mixtape. at HeMan and then like that skill set of having a 2-camera setup, shooting live performance music videos is what bookends the Witness Underground movie. You open with a full music video of high TV and ends the high TV music video, and in the middle is a transition of story from the Jehovah's Witness culture exposed through the eyes of artists through one song that like works between the 90s music scene there to the present day from the same people playing the same song in that same space. And it's like a third music video playing an old song from this, like a transition song. So like I tried to like frame the Witness Underground film with my work I developed back when I went to Vietnam and kind of like raise my skill level.
That must have been quite an experience.
It's a whole thing. I feel like I became an adult in Vietnam, which is also a whole thing. But yeah,
Nice.
no, it was amazing. I highly this is something I always recommend to people if you're new to leaving the Witnesses, or if you're thinking about leaving the Witnesses or any high control group, is change your location. It could be the next town. It could be another city. It could ideally it's a place you've always wanted to check out or live. And the reality is you can kind of do that. Like you can kind of just, if you have the ambition to go anywhere, you can make a life there. People are doing it all the time. People travel.
Yeah.
There's a whole community of foreigners who are living in another country or another city, or wherever is pick the craziest place you've ever thought of. Like, I want to live in Uganda. Okay, awesome. Go to Uganda. And you can make a whole life there and like develop yourself and create a whole new character and
discover who you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to say it. And I love it. And it's not just you and it's not just other ex-cult members doing that. It's like there's people from all over the world who are doing that today, and you can join them in that. And it's awesome. Highly recommend. I want to do it again. I'm actually in Mexico doing that right now. I decided to cut the cord from LA, and I love living abroad. It's amazing. I might come back here.
You're currently in Mexico?
Yeah, I'm in Playa del Carmen. It's a very international little hub. Lots of people from all over the world.
That's really
Ukraine,
cool.
Russia right now, especially lots of Argentinians because of their economy tanked, and lots of people from all over Mexico. Like this isn't a place people really lived before. So like even the Mexicans that are in Mexico in Playa del Carmen aren't from here. So you have like there's like 38 states in Mexico, and like people from all over Mexico are here, and they're like everyone who lives here wants to be here, chooses to be here, and it's like a really beautiful place. So it's like nature is a focus, and like sea stuff, and the beaches are awesome. Highly recommend. I want to kind of do this in like 10 places and just like every year do another few months in a new place, like, and get to know the community and run the podcast. And like I might add like you're doing with your channel, like you want to branch into something creative. Like I want to interview people who have interesting stories in general. I don't need them to all be ex-cult member artists, although I love that super niche. Like they call it niche sex, like take two niches and put them together. But I like yeah, exactly. That's actually a whole genre. I'm realizing I'm kind of developing a genre. Like I'm finding artists who came from a cult. They're not really telling anyone about it. I'm like, no, we should tell people about that. It's like you have a unique, like you came out of a cult 3-album experience. Like let's show that to the world. It's like really special. And so that's fun. But I'm also meeting like a Guatemalan today I met this morning who's like just traveling the world, and she popped in for a month to Playa to work at a co-working space. And it's like, wow, your story's amazing. Like, where else are you going to go? She's like, oh, I'm going to go to this country next. And it's like, whoa, cool. There's like international travelers from all over the world traveling to all these like hub spots and like making the virtual work remote thing happen. And it's like fun and vibrant, and they're fascinating. I'm going to add that.
I think myself, if I could travel abroad right now, it's not really something I can do at the moment, but you know, I can dream. I would check out Panama because my mother is from Panama.
Oh, wow.
And
that's so cool.
Yeah. So
I'm going to be living in Panama next month.
Oh, cool.
You should come down and visit, meet or visit family or something.
I'm self-employed, and you know, getting away is not really something to do, and I'm broke. So
self-employed, but like you have to go to the place to do the work at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's get you virtual. Then you can come visit Panama and like operate from Panama.
I do commercial cleaning, so that might be a bit of a trick. I can watch people. Hey, you're doing that wrong.
I used to do that. Is it like floor cleaning?
No, like office cleaning, that sort of thing.
Office. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of the cleaning thing, especially when I was first living in Minneapolis. Data centers, offices, and restaurants.
When it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses and even ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, if you guess, do you wash windows? Do you do cleaning? Do you do like yard work or some sort of a trade? You got a pretty good percentage of getting one of those right.
Exactly.
There's a lot of them. So
well, we'll get you funded through crowdfunding so you can do your podcast and your
well, there you
creative
go.
outlet as a
Hopefully I'll
financial.
become a YouTube sensation and can live off of that. We'll see.
I think you're on the right track with your comedy angle. I love it. I think it's
trying.
like the levity you bring is nice. I really enjoy it. Especially like
appreciate that.
one that really hit me was like you did a voiceover of Herd, the one of the Jehovah's Witness leaders.
Oh,
Like you're
yeah.
just mumbling and you were like doing a funny voice, him saying something ridiculous. It was awesome.
All right, on the broadcast today, we're going to talk about the way that we can, he's just kind of that way, you know.
You got to do Latinx with his rubber face. His weird pauses.
Yeah, old rubber face Let. So, okay then.
Young ones.
We're in the last days of the last days.
the cult documentaries about Heaven's Gate with the comet, with the alien spaceship hiding behind the comet that all killed themselves. Let is like
Applewhite.
Applewhite. He's like Let is like Applewhite. They're so similar looking, and I don't know. I'm just like, how are people following that guy? How is he the televangelist of your dreams?
And the funny thing is they have had articles in the past where they're talking about, televangelists, they just want your money and they just, it's all, pomp and circumstance and shine and, theater basically. And that's what they're all about now.
That's their whole thing now. It's crazy. It's like they transitioned from being like people going to houses in the 1800s, early 1900s, and like having like purist, like, I don't know what you call that, but like go back to the beginning of Christianity to like railing against televangelism and Catholicism and the evils of churches. And they're like, oh, actually, we're going to do all of those things and transition away from the thing that was purist and Christian and go do this crazy thing that we've been saying is terrible for 100 years. And they're like all in on it now.
Yep.
And they're asking you for money. And you can use credit cards and you can like everything, like donate your estate to us and probably Bitcoin's next or whatever.
So if you are seeing this video and this is your first experience, this came up in your feed for whatever reason, just know that they are happy to accept your money by putting them in your will or donating your estate to them. They will take I'm pretty sure they'll take air miles. Any kind of a coin they can get off you, they're happy to take. And what are they using that for? Real estate and settling court cases. That's essentially what's going on with that money.
For-profit apartment real estate is their new thing. Yeah. They're trying to just become a real estate empire.
Yeah.
For their own needs and gains.
Yeah. Because they were designed not to be in this age when their method of operation was to sell magazines, sell books, and in a time when you didn't have the access to the internet because it didn't exist. Now it's so easy to, with a quick search, you can find what they're all about. And that's why they discourage people from looking at videos like this and other channels, because they're afraid that, you're going to find out the truth. So we're giving it to you straight.
Yeah. It's interesting how they're transitioning and changing. It's like I even talked to my grandpa, the show witnesses in their late 90s. And he's like, I heard you're making videos. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, your religion's making videos. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, they're a televangelist organization now. He's like, no. I was like, yeah, for like 10 years now. And he's like, I was like, if they're making videos, why can't I make videos? He's like, come on in. And we had this amazing hangout for like 8 hours. It might be the last time I see them. And we didn't really talk about the religion at all. It was just beautiful to hang out with my grandparents, but they don't know. They were Jehovah's Witnesses in the 90s. That's the last time they went to church.
Oh, so they're just sort of
years.
They just sort of faded away.
They believe that they're active witnesses, but they can't go because their bodies are falling apart, and so they don't go. And they haven't.
That's fair. I mean, if you can't go, you can't go. But they
also deleted.
It's been so long that they're not even aware of like JW Broadcasting.
They have no idea.
Wow,
they have no idea. And they also sold the Kingdom Hall during the last it was like 10 years ago. So like one of the early Kingdom Hall cells, because they're like now to go to church is like an hour and a half away. Because it's like one church per county where I'm from, and the counties are gigantic. So like it doesn't make any sense to travel like when you have body problems.
Yeah, well, you're that old. I mean, that's a pretty tall order.
Yeah.
Just to go across town and to have to travel an hour and a half. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and this is the bummer about schedules, I have to take a phone call to the Greenlight Yourself crowdfunding coach, Justin Giddings. I'm going to take a phone call, and that's like in a few minutes here. So I have to wrap, unfortunately. But just to, I guess, summarize, I would love to, we would love, we have a team of, I think it's Ryan Sutter and I, the main person in the movie, one of the main characters, one of the main stories. He and I become great friends through the movie making experience. I actually met him while interviewing him. And we become great friends. He co-hosts my podcast, Witness Underground, a lot. And he's an amazing musician. He's rebooted the music production studio that's in the film, Highlight Nuclear Gopher, that's highlighted in the film, which is really cool. He's like recording bands right now, and he's tracking his new album. He's finishing tracking his new album and mastering it right now, like this week. And him and I are like the managers of the crowdfund, but we have a team of 7 people who've now joined our core team. And the more the merrier. And like, I want to bring people in and like, let's elevate the Exwitness community to all learn how this skill works. That's the offer I can give. Like, it's free. I paid for the course, but it's like we can give that away. And then we work together, get to know each other more like this. And I love this kind of thing. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And
I've enjoyed it myself. And I wanted to say too, like myself, I don't know a lot of people, because that's kind of one of the things when you're an Jehovah's Witnesses, the 200 people that you knew in your life, they're gone. So, it's kind of what friends you've picked up along the way. So even if you don't have a lot of people that you can talk to talk about the crowdfunding, if you can just promote it, doing videos, doing interviews, boosting posts and that sort of thing, you're helping that way.
Yeah, it's huge. There's another level. If you can't like commit to being on the core team, the core team member, which is what I'm asking for right now, there's another thing called the street team member, which is like someone who like helps us hack your algorithm. And it's like a super low commitment, like 1 minute a day for the 30-day campaign through October. It's like probably the first or second Tuesday will launch in October, and then it'll be 1 month long, just before the holiday season starts.
And that's pretty good, because eventually that's what auxiliary pioneering hours for Jehovah's Witnesses will be down to, 1 minute. Because they keep chopping it down lower and lower.
It's hilarious. Yeah. So we'd love to have you. I'm excited to launch the film and actually like get a deeper relationship with other creators in the XJW space. You don't have to be a content creator to join us, but like that's where a lot of the cool stuff is happening. So make a channel. And actually one person offered to like use their TikTok channel as like the TikTok voice for the crowdfund, which is like the coolest thing in the world. I'm so excited about that. So if you have a channel, you could also like, let's just like change our channel type to like get this movie out there in a big way. If you value it, you don't have to do only that, but like that's an awesome offer. Like I was so surprised by that offer. It's like, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Anything you can do to help is appreciated, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just meant to be fun, vibrant, exciting. Like let's all like just have a good time together. And some of the work is emailing people that you already know. And it's a good excuse to like write to your old friends and say, hi, check out this cool project. Is like, that's the work of it on repeat for 30 days.
And your musician friend, hey, if you need a vocalist, I'm here. We'll talk.
Nice. Yeah. I would like to see some collaborations, virtual music collaborations.
I'm all for collabs.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So I got to go, but thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you, the viewer, for checking us out and hanging out with us for this conversation. And please take a look at the links in the description and think about participating any way that you can. So,
witnessunderground.com for everything that we've just talked about.
Indeed. Thanks again. And we'll catch you later.
Sounds
Bye
good.
for now.
See you later, Jonathan. Bye.
It's about the things that we overcome. Tomorrow's a new day. I will find a way. What if this was your destiny? All that pain just so you could see everything you need is inside you.